So let's start. If somebody joins, they can join later. So welcome everybody. So nice to see you. So nice to see people from all over the world joining us. My name is Erez. I have with me the co-presenter, Oded, who will be actually the main speaker today. And we're going to talk today about applying team topologies from theory to practice based on our case study. And you can use the QA button to post your questions. So when we talk, feel free to post your questions. When I speak, Oded will be monitoring the QA, and vice versa. When he will be talking, I will be monitoring it. And if there will be something that will be important, we will stop and explain it. Otherwise, we will have a Q&A session at the end. So let's start. Oh, Oded?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Right. So we're in a world that is changing faster and faster. The term used is VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And in such a world, we need to move fast. Today, the question is not about the big eating the small. Rather, the game is the fast who is eating the slow. So the only way to win is learn faster than everybody. So why team topologies? So we must be fast, as we just said, and organizing the structure of our organizations is very important. Actually, it's crucial to be able to move fast, learn fast, and be innovative. We know that Agile suggests organizing teams around value. We call it feature teams or cross-functional teams. However, in some cases, this does not solve the problem, and in some organizations, usually large enterprises or even mid-level enterprises, this is not entirely feasible to have all teams as cross-functional. So we need to discuss these topologies. So the book Team Topologies was published a few years back, and it quickly became the vocabulary that is being used. It became very popular in discussions about organizational structure, as it provides good vocabulary, good terms, good patterns that we can use in order to have the common knowledge and be able to build our organization and structure them for flow. Using the book's concepts was very helpful for us when we were implementing restructuring of a larger organization. And we will talk about our experience using these concepts. So my name is Erez, this is me. I'm a CEO and founder of Agile Sparks. And I like to describe myself as a lifelong learner. I keep learning and I'm still not there. Oded?
And my name is Oded Tamir. I'm a lead coach in Agile Sparks, a professional Scrum trainer by Scrum.org. And mainly important thing is the experience I bring for the many companies I work with them. In the last 9 years, I'm in Agile Sparks.
Right. So just a quick introduction of Agile Sparks. Agile Sparks is an organization that, Oded? Slide. Yeah, this is our team in Israel. And what we do basically is we help organizations become more effective, more efficient, happier too. We're global. We have offices in Israel. We have offices in the US. We have offices in India. We're a Scaled Agile partner, a Scrum.org partner, an Atlassian partner. We provide training across the world. We have excellent Trustpilot scores, blush. And we have case studies that I feel free to browse through them. We're very practical and we like to achieve results. Our agenda for today is discussing 4 aspects of implementing team topologies. First one will be the team first approach. Then we're going to talk about considerations in optimizing team structure. Then we're going to talk about the 4 team topologies. The book identifies 4 and only 4 types of teams and their communication and interaction modes. And we're going to discuss it and show what they are all about and how they can be applied. Right, so team first approach, why are we talking about teams? So it's common knowledge that teams are a superior way of working. This is supported by science. This has been known to the military for thousands of years. When we work in teams, we can divide work among team members. Team members have diverse knowledge. They can support each other and so on and so forth. They can work on bottlenecks. So teamwork is something that is essential for organizations in order to succeed. If we see the great Michael Jordan, he said that talents can win games, but of course, teamwork is the crucial factor in winning championships. Teams are also at the heart of Scrum, Scrum being the most popular Agile framework. And you can see in the middle here, the team is in the center, as well as the 7 habits of highly effective people. Synergize is a key concept, one of the pillars. A person can improve 100 to 100%, but there is no limit almost to the way team members can synergize and achieve greatness. Yeah, so we need to talk about how can we structure our organization and our teams, because organization relies on efficient and productive teams that collaborate effectively. So what are the considerations that we need to take into account when we structure our organization? I'm going to talk about 3 things. The first thing is Robin Dunbar is an English anthropologist who studied primates, and he made some kind of extrapolation between the brain size of primates and the number of people that they can, or the number of parties that they can collaborate with. And he came up with some magic numbers of 5, 15, 50, and 150. 150 being the maximum of people with whom a person can maintain stable social relationships. The core, or the core relationships, the people that you trust most, the people that you spend the most time with and invest a lot of energy communicating with, are around 5. So when we're talking about a team, we're talking about a size of roughly 5 to 7. And we can see at the bottom the number of connections that are in different team sizes. And of course, we see that the larger the team, the more energy we need, the more time we need to maintain the relationships. So we're talking about a team that is 5 to 7. We try to stay with Dunbar's number in order to be effective. The next things we need to consider is Conway's law. Mel Conway, published already in the 60s, his insight that organizations tend to develop systems that mirror or copy the communication structures inside these organizations. So if you have silos that work inside an organization, and the system that we will produce will tend to look like those silos. The joke even goes that if you have 4 groups working on a compiler, you will have a 4-piece compiler, which of course is not the way to do compiling, but this is just shows how important the structure of an organization is when you develop your systems.
Erez, Erez, just a second.
Yeah.
Guys, that telling that we are still stuck in the first slide. Is that still, is that change? Guys, can someone write us? Yeah, okay, Erez, you can continue.
Okay, so Conway's law is actually very important because, as I said, it copies the way the organization is structured into the systems. What we can do to our advantage is what we call the reverse Conway law. We design the system that we want to produce, and then we structure the organization in a way that will make sure that we produce the right system. So the reverse Conway law, or reverse Conway maneuver, is something that is very important when we take into consideration the way that we structure our organizations. The next thing I want to talk about is cognitive load. Cognitive load is actually the amount of working memory, and I'm going to explain this term, that is being used. Everybody has in their brain a working memory that is like a RAM of our brain. Go ahead. So the cognitive load theory was popularized or coined by an Australian professor named John Sweller in 1988. And what he said was that we have a sensory memory that is theoretically unlimited. We get inputs from our ears and eyes and all our sensory organs, and they go into the working memory. The working memory is actually very, very limited. So we can hold in our working memory between 5 and 7 elements for about 20 seconds. That's it. After that, it's gone. And what we want to do is we want to use the working memory in an efficient way so we can put things in our long-term memory and build schemas that we can later use. Otherwise, these things will just go to waste. So the long-term memory is theoretically unlimited, but the working memory is very limited. Go ahead. So according to the cognitive load theory, the working memory has 3 buckets, if you will. So one of them is intrinsic load. Intrinsic load means what is the nature of the problem that we're working on, what is the complexity, how hard it is to understand it, and so on. So this is something that is inherent to every problem that we're working on, and we don't want to have too much of intrinsic load because this will create an overload. The next type of load is extraneous load. Extraneous load is a complete waste. This is interrupts, and you explain things with a lot of visual noise and a lot of maybe ambient noise and so on. These are things that take part of our working memory and are harmful or not things that we want to keep there. And the next load is germane cognitive load, which is actually what we want to do with the information. We want to create schemas in the long-term memory. We want to develop our expertise and so on and so forth. So we would like to simplify and minimize the intrinsic load. We would like to reduce, even eliminate if we can, the extraneous load. And we want to maximize the germane cognitive load. And actually, our working memory is divided between all these loads. So if we reduce the intrinsic load and eliminate the extraneous load, this gives us the opportunity to invest in germane load and develop our knowledge and take good decisions and so on and so forth. So go ahead. And one example of extraneous load is the ability to multitask. Sometimes people think that they can multitask. I urge you to make an experiment later at your free time. Just take a piece of paper, put a line in the middle, and do an exercise with yourself with 2 parts. The first part, right at the top, I am a great multitasker, 20 characters, and right at the bottom, 1 to 20. The next experiment is write I, then go to the bottom of the paper and write 1, then go up and say A and 2, M and 3 and so on. I timed myself. It took me at least 2.5 times more than that, which shows that multitasking is actually a myth. So don't think that you can do it, even though you're very talented and so on. So cognitive load is something that is hurting our processes, hurting our teams, and this is something to take into consideration. We don't want to burden a team with too much load so they become ineffective and inefficient. When we do that, speed goes down, quality goes down, burnout and stress goes up. And when we take all these 3 parameters into consideration, we need to think about Dunbar's number, we need to think about Conway's law, and we need to think about cognitive load when we design our organization and structure the teams in a way that is efficient and effective. Enter Team Topologies. Oded, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. So hi. So understanding our consideration when we are building or restructuring, help organization to restructuring, let's introduce the case study that we are discussing. Since that's ongoing work, I will just mention a few only short information about the company. It's a financial service company, about 3,000 employees. The company decided to introduce a new strategy. The strategy called digital transformation. The idea is to enhance speed, time to market, and customer value. And in order to establish this strategy, the company decided on restructuring, really build the team that will enable them or help them to align business and IT around value. The company adopt agile processes as part of the implementation of the change process. Few words about digital transformation. That's an effort that enables existing business model to integrate advanced technology. But remember, the focus is not the technology, but how we are taking the technology and help the organization bring more value and be more competitive in the market. The main challenges that we face when we try to help this organization in the restructuring is that it is large and complex company. It has a conservative culture in the organization, so change is not something that happened, it's not easy. It's managed hundreds of software along the years. Some of them are very old technology like mainframe and green screens. And the implementation, the process must be in a way that the business will continue operate and running. So based on that, we come to the company and start to dividing the entire company into the team based on the 4, and as Erez said, only 4 team topologies. And that's very important to characterize the entire company into those 4 teams. We don't need more than that, and that's the interesting and the simple thing in that model. So let's talk about the 4 team topologies. We will talk about stream align team. We'll talk about enabling team, about complicated subsystem team, and platform team. So let's start from the first one, which is the stream align team. The stream align team is really this team. Most of the team are stream aligned. They are based on the value stream of the company. The stream aligned team are cross-functional, to combining IT and business people, focus on single value stream, and align with the business domain. Example for that, we can take, if we are in banking, it could be a loan, value stream aligned team, mortgages. If it's insurance, it could be elementary, claims or pensions. If we are in retail business, the stream aligned team could be about e-commerce or customer experience. Or if we are in telecom, it could be mobile, fixed line or internet based on the telecom product. So most of the team must be divided into those value streams. However, when we are helping a large company with all the traditional software to divide a monolith software between the team, it is not easy to do that. However, the books help us with to look for software boundaries. And like in stone, that we have a monolith, in the nature, we found some fracture planes, some boundaries in the software that help us to divide even monolith software into the stream aligned team. We can find different.
Okay. Yeah,
sorry?
Go ahead. Okay, now the slide is showing. Okay. We
can find different alternative, different criteria to divide the software, the systems. The most important and the one that we are mainly look for is business domain. So if we are really able to find a software boundary based on business domain, that really help us to divide them between the stream aligned team. Of course, we can do it about regulatory compliance, about change cadence. For example, a system that required changing every week, vice versa system that required the change every 3 months. It could be team location, risk, and other. Anyway, the idea is to look for a nature software boundary and divide them between the stream-aligned team. The second one is enabling team. Enabling team act like a consultant. It's helped the stream-aligned team to solve a problem. It's a group of specialists that help the stream-aligned team to bridge about technical issue, about problem they have. They learn and understand the issue from the stream-aligned team, and they help them to overcome that and get a solution. The main goal is to keep the autonomy of the stream-aligned team. They are not really staying with them forever. They are not create dependency. It's a temporary engagement, and they are acting as a consulting, help them to solve the problem and go out, move to the other team. That's the enabling team. Example for that, architectural team, DevOps team when building a new deployment pipeline, that they help them to launch the deployment pipeline and then go out and help another team. Adopting new technology or upgrade third-party software, upgrade the Java framework, and so on. That's the main job of the enabling team, like a consulting. The next one is the complicated subsystem team. The idea behind the complicated subsystem team is that sometimes we found in a company some system that require a specific knowledge. The subsystem team used by the stream-aligned by few stream-aligned team, and by that, by moving that to the one specific team, help to reduce cognitive load and help the autonomy of the stream-aligned team. That's the goal behind the complicated subsystem. It is important to understand that we accept only few of them in the company. As I said at the beginning, most of the team should be a stream-aligned team. Example for that, a complicated algorithm, unique calculation, or financial model. For example, if you have face recognition, we can do it once. It's a specific subsystem, authentication, or data. Those things that can be managed by a complicated subsystem team. Moving to the last one, it's a platform team. A platform team provides services, internal services required by the stream-aligned team. The main goal is to increase autonomy of the stream-aligned team and reduce the cognitive load. They are focused on usability and reliability of the service they provide. If we usually look on the stream-aligned team that support the user and must take care of UX, those teams of the platform must pay attention that them customers are the developers, and they need to take care about DevX, development experience, and how they will be able to use the platform in easy way, and by that reduce the friction between the team. The platform team, and that's very important aspect of platform, it should be managed like a product with roadmap and how we upgrade the services from time to time and help the team to gain advantage from that. Example from platform team could be Kubernetes infrastructure that we can upgrade from time to time, ERP system, membership management. If we have a club and all the system need to use the membership management, if it's core banking or core insurance, could be a platform as well. So to summarize the 4 topologies, We have the streamline team, focus on delivering value to the company customer based on the value stream. We have the enabling team that act as a consultant, complicate subsystem that help the streamline team manage a complicated system, and the platform that support the entire teams. However, changing the structure alone is not solve the problem. And therefore, for those teams, we need to define something that we call interaction mode. And we found 3 interaction modes that help us to define the communication between the team. The idea is that, and I think Erez mentioned it before, too much communication is not always a good thing and bring value, because it increases cognitive load. And sometimes by defining the right interaction mode, we can reduce the necessity of the communication, and the goal is really to reduce friction between the team. So let's talk about the 3 interaction modes: collaboration, acts as a service, and facilitating. Collaboration. This is required high investment in effort, because it required a lot of discussion between teams, but it used when high degree of adaptability or discovery is needed. It's when we need to learn a new technology, but remember that that's high cost interaction should be used only if high gain, high value will come from that. It's mainly used by the streamline team when they have a specific problem and maybe interaction between them. The next one is the X as a service. X as a service is when more than one team use the service. It's high cost to build the service, but then if you build that, it's kind of API or kind of service that it's take time and cost to build that. But when you build that, then it's easy to all the team to use that, and that's the value of building that. It's used mainly by the streamline team when they discuss or need to interact with the platform and the complicated subsystem team. That's a very efficient way to do that, and therefore it's a very good way to implement that. However, remember the cost of building the service. The last one is facilitating. It's used when the team benefits from active support of another team, enable the other team to be more effective. However, the other team is not taking ownership. It's used mainly by the enabling team when they help the other team to solve the problem. So the summary is the value arrives when we are taking the 4 team topologies, the streamline, enabling, complicate subsystem, and platform, and combine that with the 3 interaction mode: collaboration, acts as a service, and facilitating, and by that help the team to be faster. I will share with you now a partial solution of the structure that we built. So you see that most of the company is really around streamline team. Yes, we see in elementary insurance, pension, health insurance, claims, investment, and so on. We took the architectural group and the SME subject matter to be the enabling team and support the other team to implement and support them to deliver the software, and some complicated subsystem like CRM, security services, and workflow automation. On the bottom, we have a different kind of platform. As I said, manages a product, cloud services, Kubernetes, data platform, and other. So that's actually a partial structure of the solution. What we learn from that? What we learn from that exercise? First, about the model. The model helped actually to make take a complex company and really help to do a simple discussion, a simple, you know, relative to the complexity of the problem. But it was simple to map based on to use the model and map the teams based on that. We found that the monolithic systems, the old technology, are not obstacle for such a digital transformation, and we were able to divide them between the team. Most of the time, it's worked quite good. This way of dividing the team enable gradual implementation, because each time we can launch a new streamline team or platform team or other, and that's enable gradual implementation. It's helped to identify bottleneck in the organization and initiate discussion of the future architecture. As Erez said before, the reverse maneuver of the Conway law helped to change or to adapt changing technology to the new architecture. So that's our learning about the process. From the structure itself, we can say that that's enhanced dramatically the autonomy of the team and improve speed. It's clarified, and that's advantage by itself, roles and responsibility, which help to be faster execution. It's the focus of the team, reduce cognitive load and improve productivity. Time to market is improved, and especially the alignment between IT and the business, and the dependency between the team. This is in progress, I have to say, because implementing the API take time, as I said before, and that's still something in progress. However, we can see advantage of that. To summarize, first, analyze your value stream. Understand what are your value stream. Map the teams and the system to support each value stream. Define the future architecture, see how it's helped you to define the team based on your future architect. Identify fracture plans that help you to divide or to find the software boundary, to divide the system between the team. Define the team structure based on the 4 team topologies, and by that limit and find a way to limit the cognitive load of the team. Use the reverse Conway maneuver to handle changes in the technology and in business. Adopting the communication and interaction mode between the team. Use various communication channels to facilitating effective collaboration. And it's important that if you find a place that somehow you need high communication, required a high level of communication between the team, then probably something is missing, and that's a sign that you need to handle that. And then, like everything in Agile, the fact that you build it once, it not means that will be forever. You need on ongoing basis to modify the structure and align that based on changing in the business and technology. So that's all for now. and we will be glad to have questions. Erez?
Yeah. So we have a question about where do the change management or coaches fall. I think the question came before Oded showed his slide. In any case, this is an enabling team. One thing important to notice about enabling team is that it's time limited. I mean, the collaboration between the enabling team and the teams that they collaborate with is not permanent. It's there for a while. It's there for a period of time in order to help the team gain or develop a new functionality, or as in the case of change management and coaches, adopt the agile methodology and so on. So Sarab, to your question, yes, they are an enabling team. And by the way, understanding that a team is collaborating for a limited time is very helpful to understand the roles and responsibilities and the expectations that you can have between the two teams. Because sometimes we don't define it well and people get mixed up and confused about how they collaborate with teams. So an enabling team by nature is limited in time. And yes, as I said, coaches fall there. Another question that came in is about when we do roadmap planning, should we involve all the 4 types of teams? For sure. I mean, when you do planning, everybody should be involved. If you're talking about the PI planning or quarterly planning or whatever you call it, everybody is involved, so everybody should have a stake in it. But if you're talking about roadmap planning of, for example, and this was something that Oded mentioned, the X as a service type of team actually develops its system as a product. So they consider the platform as a product. So they need to have a good UI, they need to have a good API, they need to publish their roadmap and so on. So when you plan your roadmap for your X as a service platform, the people that develop it should be part of it and not everybody else, because otherwise you will be just increasing the cognitive load of everybody. Because as we said, we want to limit the intrinsic load and other loads on our memory, because we don't want to bombard people and make them overloaded.
Just a second.
So
I want to add to that question something before Erez.
Yeah, go ahead.
Remember that each stream-aligned team focus on bringing value, business value to the company. So when they are doing a planning per each value stream, they are calling or adding the related team that support them to that planning. So so the idea is that they focus on achieving business outcome and not just delivering features like we usually see in teams. When you usually see in teams. Okay, Erez. Vladimir, I think Erez has an issue there. Vladimir, you ask about the enabling team. Erez, you are back. Yeah. Temporary. When I'm saying temporary, you ask about if the enabling team are temporary. How come the architect, the SME are temporary in you? How the SME and the teams are temporary in my case? They are temporary in the fact that in the time they are communicate with the stream-aligned team. The temporary is not temporary in the organization, it's temporary with the interaction. So they come to the team, help them to solve problem, and go out like a consultant. And that's important because they are not, the stream-aligned team are not continue to depend on this team. They are learning, building the capability on themselves, and by that they are temporary, but not, of course, not temporary in the organization. Erez, you are in mute.
Sorry. So moving to more questions, I'm actually taking care of the time, so we have some time. So Karen is asking, after bottlenecks are identified, what is done with them? Who addresses the bottlenecks? So this is actually a question about management. So, you know, going agile or restructuring your team doesn't mean that the teams are self-organized. There is someone who is handling the change. These people are usually the management of the unit, sometimes program management. So when we identify a bottleneck, this calls for conversation. So we need to make a conversation between all the stakeholders and of course management, and they need to see what needs to be done. And by the way, a point that Oded mentioned earlier, and I wanted to stress it, sometimes you see, you try to structure your organization in a way that will eliminate or minimize a communication or a bottleneck between two teams. But in fact, when you monitor things, because you keep your eyes open, right? You see that they are talking a lot and there is a lot of communication going on. This means that there is a problem. We didn't define the API well and so on. So when we do the analysis, this is just a starting point. We need to keep monitoring the organization. Management has to keep an eye on it. And we need to fix problems as they arise. Thing, because the organization keeps changing, the reality keeps changing. We are agile and we're doing agile things in an agile way. Next question: when you are restructuring, can you really do it gradually? Where do you start? This is a question from OC. Oded, do you want to or shall I?
No, I can talk about it. Where to start? It's actually a good question. Where to start? If it's a big change in the company, start where it's easy. When you have people that are have the knowledge and the capability to do that, they are willing to do that, and start there to show fast success. So it's important to start with those that are easy to arrange and then move forward. When you show, you establish the new processes, the new way of working, and then then the organization can move forward with the other team, and so fast success and establish the new processes is the most important aspect of the first step. Okay.
Okay, moving to more questions. Let me see which is the next one. Just 1 minute.
How you deal with over communication? Maybe that's one.
Yeah, how do you deal with over communication? So, of course, we want communication. We don't want over communication. This is exactly the point of minimizing the cognitive load. Again, the rule is keep your eyes open and make sure that you have just enough communication. If you have more communication that is needed, something is wrong. Look at the dependencies. Why are they communicating all the time? Is there a dependency? Is there a resource that is missing? Is the team dependent on something that is outside the team or maybe outside its reach? So you need to analyze all those things, because we need to find the good balance between too much communication and too less communication. Again, this goes back to the question, who is handling it? The people that are handling it are the team, management, people that in Agile, we do retrospective all the time. We need to address this point and try to find the root cause of it and handle it.
Maybe build a better API between the team, and by that reduce the communication required.
Yeah, or maybe restructure. Sometimes, and a change in the structure of a team can eliminate a lot of dependencies, because of course dependencies are something that is killing our effectiveness and our predictability. So we need to eliminate it as much as possible. And I can tell you from experience that sometimes we think that the team is in one type and it turns out that it's another type. So a complicated system can become a platform. Actually, the boundaries are not very clear. I'm surprised that there are not more questions. You can debate on some teams, and you can really need to keep analyzing things, because things can change. For example, a complicated system team can become an X as a service. It can become a platform after we developed it as a product, the product, and they develop the right API. So the big thing about this vocabulary is that it helps us have a common knowledge and have intelligence discussions around our teams. And when you start, and this is going to another question about how do you start, it's good to analyze the entire organization, but it really doesn't mean that you have to go all out. You can do it gradually. You can do it wherever it makes sense. You have to take an economic view of things, because obviously changing everything at the same time doesn't make sense. But it makes a lot of sense to analyze the organization and take decisions upon these labels. I mean, when we took, we don't have this slide where we show when we did the analysis with this organization. We put, the sticky notes with the different colors on the teams, and all of a sudden things make sense, because you look at the problem in a visual way, and all of a sudden things become clear and ambiguities are solved and so on. Next question, how did you assign people to the different teams? Well, again, this is, forming your agile release trains and your team's effort that is done with management. The idea is to create teams that are as independent as possible. So we look at the value, and as Oded mentioned earlier, we start with the value stream. We identify the value, and then we reverse engineer and see what is the structure, what is the team or team of teams that is needed in order to produce this value. So we make sure that all the needed people are inside the teams. But again, we need to think about number. Maybe the number of people that are needed is too big. Then we need 2 teams and so on. So you need to apply these principles and apply also common sense. So populating the organization, the people, first of all, you need to see that you have all the resources that are needed in order to create the value. And then you apply the other constraints and structural thinking that will allow you to be fast.
Anyway, we would like to be in a situation that every person belong only to one team.
Yeah.
Erez, I think
okay,
that
I think we have time. I think we have time for two more questions. So we will take them. Maybe Oded, you will take one, and I will take one. But all your questions are written here, and we will surely get back to you via your emails and provide some answer. And we are always available for more questions, more consultations. Happy to do that. So don't worry, every question will be answered either here live or via email.
I want to take that one because I think we didn't mention it, and Giorgio asked if we can a platform of the or complicated subsystem be a group of team release train. So that's a good point, and I want to say to all related to all the team. It's relevant for team of teams. Means that streamline team could be a team of teams, complicated subsystem could be a team of teams. Each one of them could be a team of teams. It's relevant for one team, it's relevant for team of teams that working together on the same value stream. And that's an important topic that we need to mention. Even we speak here about one team, it is not means it is the same for team of teams.
Yeah.
Erez?
Yeah, let's take another one. Does Agile Sparks also work with companies that are growing out of startup into a more corporate structure? Sure, we do. Actually, I think that we have quite a lot of such companies that grew from startups. By the way, we have a hit ratio of IPOs and companies that are going public. We work with so many companies that started with 40 people and grew to a couple of hundreds, and then they IPO'd. So we have a lot of experience with that. And actually, I can tell you that many such companies come to us when they grow. So when they grow, all of a sudden they start to have some structural problems, and the thing that was working in a startup mode when everybody was sitting in the same room and so on is not working again. And this is exactly a good time to apply this kind of team topology analysis. And the lack of structure. Sometimes people look at Agile as a way to get out of the dictatorship of waterfall and very heavy processes, but it can work in the other way, because Agile is very ordered. We have planning and we have a lot of processes. So sometimes when people come from chaos or from startup mode, they find a lot of structure and a lot of processes inside Agile. So absolutely, we work with such organizations. The idea is always to look at the challenges that the organization have. Sometimes when you grow, you become slower, and quality is becoming more of an issue because you have more clients and so on and so forth. So team topologies and in fact, an agile transformation makes a lot of sense when a startup grows to become a unicorn or a bigger startup or a more stable one.
Okay.
I think we have one more. I'm just jumping.
Okay.
So the name is Lurietti Lonel. How does it impact the dynamic of the flow if you have a team of 20 people? Well, if you paid attention to what we said, I hope you did. If not, please take a look at it. 20 people is beyond Dunbar's number, and it means that probably the team is too big. By the way, a very good way to know if your team is too big is during the daily meeting. If you see in the daily meeting that when somebody speaks, 10 people are not interested, it means that they don't belong to the same team. So I would say just on the face of it, and from 30,000 feet, that this is probably too big a group. We need to understand why do they become a group, because a group are people that have common interests, common goals, common shared responsibility. And it will be interested to know why do you have a group of 20 people? For me, and out of experience, this looks too big. But of course, we need to dive into it, because sometimes you have a need to have a bigger group for some reason. But on the face of it, I think that it hurts dynamics, because if you remember the slide that I showed about the numbers of connections that you need to maintain with 20 people, it's hundreds of connections, hundreds. So imagine that you have 20 people, everybody needs to talk to 19 people and so on. It's really a lot of investment to maintain this kind of relationship with all your team members. It's very hard to plan. It's very hard to support each other and so on. So
you can divide
happy to continue the conversation.
And you can divide it into 2 or 3 teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're just hitting the 1 hour mark. As I said, there are quite a few questions that are unanswered, but we will answer you directly via email. Please feel free to reach out to us with more questions. Happy to do it through our connection that you registered through. Please note our next public courses. We run public courses and also private courses all the time. We will be happy to see you in one of our classes. And I think, Oded, if you go one slide down. Yeah, we would like to thank you very much for your attention. So
we record the webinar.
The recording is going to be available, and we're going to send it to all the participants. So please don't be shy. Talk to us. We'll be happy to hear from you. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.